Godzilla. But honestly, though, welcome to another episode of Teotalks, and today we're talking about Godzilla, man. I'm stoked, okay? And right away, I'm just going to talk about the first one, just because I'm not going to try not to compare them throughout the whole video. But in the first one, the main complaint of critics was that there was too much of a focus on the people and less of a focus on the monster action, because the monster action was fucking awesome, and the people were rather underwhelming. And I think most of that is because the monster action was really impactful, and like, you know what I mean, like the stomp at the airport and Godzilla grabbing the moon and breathing down its neck, and it was just like, oh my god, that's fucking awesome. And those scenes were really fucking cool. And I think the biggest reason, with the exception of Walter Wright and Dr. Serizawa, is that they were pretty stale and rigid. And in this movie, the main complaints are that there's too many monster fights and not enough focus on the people. And I think the main reason for that is because the people are so much more interesting in this movie, man. I mean, Vera Farmiga is an amazing actor, and Millie Bobby Brown is awesome, dude. I want that kid to go places, man. She's killing it in Stranger Things. She's killing it in this. And you know, she's rad, and I'm stoked to see her in this. And when I found out that they were casting a Godzilla movie together, and I really wanted them to be the heroes of the story. I wanted to see a lot of scenes of them playing together and like working off of each other. But I'm not gonna dock the movie for what I wanted it to be compared to what it actually is. And what it actually is pretty fucking cool. You know what I mean? Like standout scenes, like okay, so like things, not standout scenes, but standout things is that they made Rodan fucking scary as hell, dude. I mean, he's awesome in this movie. You know what I mean? He was in a book of mine that I had as a kid where he was just sort of Godzilla's pal after being a douche for a little while, and then they joined up together and they were just hanging out on Monster Island. But in this movie, he like pops out of a fucking volcano and he's just like, ah! And he goes and destroys a bunch of shit. And it's sick. The CGI was awesome, okay? Like, and there's a big debate between CGI versus suits. And you know, because with the suit, there's like actually somebody there that you can like touch and that the other person can like see and like react with, and there's a whole benefit to that. And it's actually there, like, you know, it can knock down cables and so there's that huge benefit for having an actual suit there. But with you show me a dude in a suit who could spin around fucking a few times and kill the same fucking 6 jet 3 times in a row. It lasted way too long. But that scene was awesome. But they both have their strength. They easily both have their strengths. The plot, you know, is simple. It's simple. There's this family. They're broken up by the 2014 attack, which is the first Godzilla movie, and the daughter goes with the mom, and and basically they're just studying monsters, and basically this eco-terrorist shows up, and they're just like, we're gonna wake up fucking Ghidorah because that's a good idea, okay? And so they have to bring in this guy Mark, who's the character. If you've seen King Kong, you know that he plays this actor in that movie who's all of his characters are like badasses. He's actually kind of a coward. But in this movie, his character is all of those badasses like rolled into one. And he's just like, right away, he's just like the military. Excuse me, I know you're professionally trained and shit, but like, you're wrong. It's obviously this thing. And if you don't listen to me, it's because you're stupid. And he does like shit like that the whole movie. He could do whatever the fuck he wants to, and it's a little strange. And he was like barely in the marketing for the movie. Like, I thought it was gonna be Vera and Eleven just kicking ass. And you know, I'm okay with Mark. I liked Mark, but that was my thing. And Dude, this movie was rad. So basically the plot is those eco-terrorists who want to wake up Ghidorah, and Ghidorah is another apex like Godzilla. So there's these two fucking super-powered monsters, and they are both potential to be kings, and whoever wins rules everything, and Ghidorah wants to kill everything, and Godzilla kind of just made everybody sleep when he was a king. They're gonna forget about us because we're gonna be sleeping for eons. And Ghidorah's just like, destroy all of this. I don't like it. I don't want to deal with it. It's gross. It's ugly. I don't like it. And I mean, honestly, as far as motives go, like, that's what you got. And it's a giant monster movie, okay? So like, when you're expecting a great story in a monster movie, they're usually sprinkled in thematically, and occasionally it's really fleshed out and it's made into something super interesting. But it's a giant monster movie. I'm here for the giant monsters. I'm here to see effects brought to life. Like, giant monsters have always, I mean, people criticize superheroes and giant monsters, but Greek stories, old literature, all of it has monsters, all of it has heroes, all of it has stories of the fantastic. You know what I mean? It's captured our imagination forever, and it will continue to do so forever. And monsters come from our appreciation with animals that we couldn't explain, like, way back when. This movie does a good job of like making some of these giant monsters animals, kind of like Monster Hunter. And I'm gonna do a whole video about Monster Hunter, actually, and it's gonna kind of tie into some of these themes of the fantastical and reality kind of merging in lore, like human lore, like stories, which is where like monsters would come from. But anyway, I'm getting off the point. Some of the shots in this movie are like epic. You know what I mean? They're like Ghidorah, dude, when he spreads his wings and he's just like, and he's like doing his thing and lightning is everywhere. It's just fucking awesome. Like, he's got his wings up, and like this whole fucking frame, like most of the frame is black, but then where his like the tips of his horns and like the edges of his wings are, it's like yellow, and it looks like he like takes over the whole screen. It's really intimidating and really fucking cool. And yeah, I'm gonna talk like I'm gonna talk. But scenes like that where they showcase a monster in this movie were really fantastic. Like obviously you've seen that scene in the trailer where Mothra's rings are under the waterfall. You've seen Godzilla flash under the ocean in that trailer. That scene was awesome. And these scenes where the giant monsters act like animals are really fucking cool, like I said. Especially in comparison to the fights is kind of the point I'm getting at, because the fights are shaky and there's nothing pivotal in this movie, unfortunately, but there's like a lot of really great scenes, so I can't really dock it at the same time. As the movie goes on, you realize that Vera Farmiga is actually leading this eco-terrorist group, and she's just like, people are germs and the earth needs to fight it. So here's a fucking ancient dinosaur that can breathe fire. Okay, so deal with that. And I can't call her evil because I don't necessarily entirely disagree with her. We are wiping out the planet and we're killing everything. So we kind of suck. There's one really funny scene where it's in Boston, which is really funny. I lived right next to Fenway Park when I went to the Berklee College of Music, and I could have sworn I saw Ghidorah blow up my dorm, and I was like, no, 98 Heavenway. It was funny. There's a really funny scene in their fight where Ghidorah bites this fucking like power plant thing, and he starts getting electrically charged, and Godzilla just looks over and he's just like, what the fuck? And it's like, it's really funnily edited. I don't know what they were doing or if it was like intentional, but I was cracking up. And before I forget, dude, the side cast in this is really great. The one girl that was with Dr. Serizawa, she died, and I was actually sad. She was awesome. And the dude from Cabin in the Woods was really great. The guy that's just like, Godzilla. And he's talking about like ancient wormhole theories and hollowed earth. He's like, hollowed earth, man, I told you it was a thing. And it was pretty funny. Yeah, but dude, in this fight scene, dude, there's a couple of cool shots. There was that funny one that I was telling you about. But then there's another one where Godzilla like knocks Ghidorah down, and as he's getting up, you see Godzilla in the reflection in the mirror behind Ghidorah, and he's just walking up, and he's just like, and he's a thick design this time around, man. I mean, just like in the last movie, but he's a big boy. I love it. You know what I mean? And it was awesome. And my girlfriend pointed out while we were watching this movie, she's like, everybody watching this fight scene right now is is getting irradiated. And I was like, that's so true, dude. Also, I love that scene where the girl says, my I'm third generation monarch, and my parents and my grandparents both believed that following myths and stories was how we'd get to the Titans, and seeing that it's like generations of twins, like going back to those old movies, was just like, that was a really nice throwback. I loved that, and it was just cute. It got a giggle across the theater, you know what I mean? I liked it. But yeah, as I said earlier, the fights were kind of lackluster, and the monsters' presences were really cool. Like, there were some amazing shots before the fights, like where Ghidorah would spread his wings, and Godzilla would just be there, and they'd be standing off, and it just looks like amazing. The framing is amazing, and Ghidorah, they're like elder. All the Titans in this are like elder dragons. Wherever they go, there's like a natural disaster that like follows them. And Ghidorah is exactly like Kushala Daora, dude. Like, literally, I mean, he's just sitting there, and there's like always a hurricane around him, and there's like always lightning going off, and it's just like, this is fucking sick, man. This is really cool. Like, some of these shots are cool. Like, you see the shadow of Ghidorah in the storm. Looks really, really fucking cool. I like that they showed Dunkin' Donuts in Boston, because that's like, I saw it all. I've never had it, but I saw it all over the place in Boston. And yeah, so, you know, the fights were kind of lackluster, but they were satisfying at the same time. You know what I mean? So like at the end of the movie, Godzilla gets covered with Mothra's pixie dust, which gives him this like boon. And before that even happens, though, I'm gonna just jump back real fast to something I skipped that I thought was really important, which was Dr. Serizawa going into I think it's kind of implied that it's Atlantis. And there's like hieroglyphics of like Godzilla and Ghidorah and Mothra all worshipped as like deities. But the best part is they're like walking up, and there's these like statues that are like kind of Anubis, with like, instead of the head of a jackal though, it's the head of Godzilla. And it's like, fuck yeah, man, I would be a part of this cult. That was just great. And then the scene was touching, you know what I mean? I mean, he was obviously the best character in these two movies so far, and so I'm sad to see him go. I wish the movie was about him going around the fucking planet looking at kaiju. I mean, like, fantastic. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, but Fantastic Beasts would be so much more well received if it was just Newt running around the Earth looking at cool magical creatures. That's what everybody wants from this franchise, and they're just not doing it. They're just not. Jesus, they're just not doing it. And so you know. after the fight between Godzilla and Rodan. God, it's not Rodan. So Mothra juices up Godzilla, and he gets this fucking it's like his burning form from Godzilla versus Destroyer, and he's like molten, and he has this move where his like spines will like, and he'll shoot out this shockwave, and it literally just fucking incinerates Ghidorah's wings. They're gone. And then it incinerates his head, and then his other head, and then another head. It was pretty cool, but there's a scene after that where Godzilla is like asserting himself as king of everybody else that's like left, and Rodan just sort of shows up after getting impaled by Mothra earlier in the fight, and he's just sort of like, yeah, man, what's up? You're the king, bro. What's up? I'm not Starscream or anything. You're cool. And it was just really funny. But another thing I want to talk about is that the music in this movie was amazing. The motifs were really cool. Like, I like how all the chanting was a bunch of people, and it kind of seemed like the people of Earth were cheering Godzilla forward, and I thought that was really cool. And they're like, and it was just a lot of fun, dude. And you know, I've loved Godzilla since before I can remember, and I've loved System of a Down since like second grade. So having Surge sing Godzilla by Blue Oyster Cult was just sick. It was fucking sick. And that song even had the motifs from the movie. And there's another scene where, okay, so basically there's a magic box that lets Vera Farmiga talk to animals, and like the Titans, and Eleven kidnaps this box and takes it to the Red Sox stadium and sets off this signal to distract Ghidorah. But basically, she sets off the signal, and both of her parents come looking for her, and Mark is there, like, looking for her, just like, where's my daughter? And Vera Farmiga rolls up in a car, and she's like, "Shh, get in the car!" And it looks like he's about to be like, "Fuck you!" But so they cuts him off because she's done all this shit at this point, and yeah, you know. But earlier in the movie, we were told that there were going to be 17 kaijus. For the record, I know that wasn't 17. We were told that there were going to be 17 kaijus in this movie, and there was only like 7 or 8, and it was kind of disappointing. But making Skull Island as like a focal point for like the lore of this universe is kind of like making it Monster Island at the same time, so that's pretty cool. And I'm probably definitely thinking there's going to be some sort of super monster at the end of King Kong versus Godzilla. And if you've seen the after credits, it's probably going to be Mecha Ghidorah. But that would also be lackluster. Like, I really want to see another unique American monster from this studio. And it doesn't even have to be from America. It'd be from anywhere. But like, I would just like to see another original monster. Like, the Mutos were fine. But there was 2 of them, and neither of them were really a threat to Godzilla, and yeah, I would just like to see another unique new monster that I would be really happy to see. But yeah, this movie is a bit of the opposite of the first one. So that the first one's like a lot of people, this one's a lot of action. Let's hope the next one's a combination of the two. This is the only other fucking solid cinematic universe besides the Marvel one. So if that doesn't blow your fucking mind, I don't know. But anyway, this has been Teotalks. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.